I gotta ask the host.
All right, we are streaming and recording.
Hold on. Superfizz, in order to record, I gotta ask the host. So I have to have the host.
Did you make me host? I'm sorry. I was not aware of that. I'm
That,
sorry. I heard you say that, but I didn't realize that.
that's my quick and dirty way to just enable
Yeah.
the sharing abilities.
Give me just a minute. I'm going to. So I just need co-host or screen sharing, but I'm going to go ahead and give you host back. All right. So you are the host, and I am screen sharing, and I am just cleaning up staking facilities merge. Okay. And as we go through these, we will also need to double check to make sure that those two questions that have been switched a few times are not currently switched for the ones which I guess Lido is the next one, the last one right now, and then
The
we
last
would have
one
to.
right now, and then we'll go over some
staking
website
facilities.
updates, and we'll be good.
All right, let me find that question real quick and make sure that it is correctly flipped. Yeah, it looks like that they are in the right order. We may just keep an eye out to make sure that it remains that way. And I'm going to set this row height. My purpose for that is just so we can get a really quick overview. Because it's important that our answers are all relative as well as based on the question. So. Okay, I'm done with setup.
Ready to roll?
Yep.
Amazing. So we're going with Lido. What country is your business based out of? Distributed DAO. I think we've just been putting them as green. I think that should be green. Are you confident that you're adhering to the necessary regulations for the jurisdiction you are in? We have to check those, but we're putting it yellow until further due diligence comes back with some answers.
Are we, sorry, just real quick, for the country, are we, I guess after these initial evaluations are done, are we like following up on this? Because I feel like that's not an adequate answer.
Correct. We're looking at it in further due diligence. Lido, it'll take a little bit longer since we've kind of started doing this process on the ones that we had already answered so far.
Okay.
But we will be coming back and presenting our findings in the coming weeks.
Okay. All right.
How much control do you have over users' funds? Do you hold 0, 1, or 2 keys? Lido split our withdrawal key into 11 different parts, each held by a different member of the Lido DAO. I would put that as yellow. What do you guys think?
This is one of the questions we've struggled with the most. I think a yellow is probably the most fair to everyone right now. It is going to have to be reviewed and polished a lot of times, but it's not a single custody and it's not 0 custody. It is somewhere in the middle, so I think yellow seems fair.
Awesome. Do you have any insurance in case funds are lost? Yes, Lido is partnered with Unslash Finance to cover staked Ethereum against up to 5% slashing penalty. I mean, they do have that is some form of insurance. It's not full insurance, but it's some form.
I also wonder, well, I guess, yeah, it is some form. Because, like, some staking providers might just say, like, you can get insurance on your own, but this is actually on behalf of the users, it looks like, for 5%. It's not much, but it's something.
I'm thinking green, and again, these are things that we ideally would have figured out in the beginning, but we didn't have the context. I think green would be fully insured, yellow would be partially insured, and red would be not insured, or not applicable. Not applicable would also be yellow.
In the current view, it is really hard to see the other answers to compare it with.
Okay, and so I'll fix that in just a minute. I was trying to condense them so that the words wouldn't be obvious, but that the rating would be a little evident. I can work on that though. Yellow is partially insured. I'm not sure that's the correct scale. It's just a shot in the dark. And I will expand this to give a little more context. I don't know how much we need so that we can still see what we're trying to look at. That should be a little better. Madison, did you decide a color for this?
I was going with yellow was what I thought it was. What do you got? You guys okay with that?
Yep.
I think so. All right. What is your company's history in the cryptocurrency space? Lido is a DAO comprised of some of the most established builders, developers, and backers within the cryptocurrency space. This includes, amongst many others, Semantic Ventures, Parify Capital, Terra, KR1, Stakefish, P2P, Chorus One, Staking Facilities, Certus, MakerDAO, Aave, Synthetics, and a number of angel investors. I would put that as green. Maybe I'm biased because I know Lido and what they do and those backers, but I definitely think it's a robust history.
Yep.
That's definitely a strength of Lido. Like, I don't want to get into personal opinions. Thank you.
Yep. Who are your team members and what are their academic and professional backgrounds? See above answer. Lido is DAO comprises some of the most established builders, developers, and backers within the cryptocurrency space. This includes, amongst many others, Semantic Ventures, Parify Capital, Terra, KR1, Stakefish, P2P, Chorus One, Staking Facilities, Certus, MakerDAO, Aave, Synthetics, and a number of angel investors. That works. I mean, similarly, I would say that's a green. If you're using smart contracts, have they been audited by whom? Lido aims to allow users to stake either without losing the ability to trade or otherwise use their token. Lido will be a decentralized infrastructure for issuing a liquid token that has a degree of flexibility compared to self-staking. Users will send Ether to the staking pool contract to be minted ST-ETH tokens in return. That Ether will be distributed between node operators to maintain uniform distribution and deposited to be validated by their validators. Withdrawal credentials for that Ether will be set either to threshold signature of distributed custody, or if withdrawal to ETH1 addresses will get accepted by the community to an upgradable smart contract that will handle withdrawals when they are enabled. I have to read through that again silently to.
This is actually the flip that we were trying to catch.
Oh, okay, that's probably right. I was like, what?
Yeah, I thought that I had looked out for that, but I failed.
Glad you called me out because I was going to look real stupid in a couple seconds.
Never. And let me format that just a little bit. Yeah, I was getting confused, and I'm like, that's not supposed to look like that. Text wrapping wrap. I want a line top. Okay, that should get us a little better. So let's just back up if you want and start there. My apologies.
Yep. No problem. If you're using smart contracts that have been audited by whom? Ledger smart contracts have been audited by Sigma Prime and QuantStamp in 2020. The results of these audits can be found here. All right.
And we did review that in the last call when we were looking at Chorus 1. Well, it's not fair to say we reviewed it. We verified that it exists.
Yep. And there were no like red issues. There were no like, needs to be changed issues. I remember seeing that. I'll put that as green, considering put it as Chorus 1 as green. Awesome. Describe your staking setup. Do you have your own servers? If no, which hosting providers are you using? Which clients are you using? How many nodes are you using? Do you have some sort of redundancy built in? Lido aims to allow users to stake Ether without losing the ability to trade or otherwise use their tokens. Lido will be a decentralized infrastructure for issuing a liquid token that has a degree of flexibility compared to self-staking. Users will send Ether to the staking pool contract to be minted STETH tokens in return. That Ether will be distributed between node operators to maintain uniform distribution and deposited to be validated by their validators. Withdrawal credentials for the Ether will be set either to threshold signature of distributed custody, or if withdrawal to ETH1 address will get accepted by the community to an upgradable smart contract that will handle withdrawals when they are enabled.
So they are not black box unknown secret. They're also, while they use the word decentralized, they're referring to.
They're not talking about the servers, are they?
Well, it's use of the word decentralized. So I believe distributed would be a better word in that case. And the difference between decentralized and distributed being that they are using a lot of their other providers to do their staking in a distributed way. They're not decentralized from the perspective that anyone can run their validator, and those words are easily conflated. I think it's important to look at this one just for a minute and make sure that we get an accurate rating.
Isn't it similar to liquid stake? I don't know whether.
Yes. Yeah, that looks essentially
Put it
exactly
at
the same.
That's a good point. I don't think they just answered the question. Really, we need to figure out the hosting providers of the entities they're being staked through, right?
Yeah, there's this interesting thing where everyone says, what is your staking setup? Well, Lido is running the staking setup. And then Lido says, when you ask Lido, what is your staking setup? Well, everyone else is running our staking setup. Like, you can't just point fingers. Somewhere we need to know what the nuts and bolts look like, or choose not to answer, which is a black box.
I put it as red based on the precedent of liquid stake.
Yep.
Who is invested in your business? Is there venture capital? Is there a token? If there is a token, what is it used for? Lido investors include Semantic VC, Parify Capital, Libertas Capital, Terra, Bitscale Capital, Stakefish, Staking Facilities, Chorus, P2P Capital, and KR1, Stanley Kulichov of Aave, Banteg of Yearn, Will Harburn of Diversify, Julian Butulup of State Capital, and Kane Warwick of Synthetics. Lido is a DAO that provides a liquid staking service for Ethereum 2.0 allowing users to earn staking rewards without maintaining staking infrastructure. When staking ETH using Lido, users receive a token, STETH, a tokenized version of their staked ETH. A user's STETH balance is updated daily to reflect earned staking rewards. Through the issuance of STETH, Lido creates a liquid alternative for staked Ether, allowing tokens otherwise locked up to be transferred, traded, and used across DeFi applications. I would put that as a green. There's no disagreement. We'll move to the last one. How much are you charging for your staking services? Lido charges a 10% on staking rewards based on the precedent that we've done before. I would say that's a green. Awesome. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns with Lido evaluation? All right, then we'll get that in the further due diligence process, and we'll kind of start going over other items. Michael, do we have an update on the website?
Yep. Let me go ahead and share my screen here, and I'll kind of go over it.
Thank you, Superfizz, for doing that.
I just need a co-host.
Oh, that's me.
Madison, yeah,
That's
your host. Yeah. Everybody's.
Make host. All right.
Some slight updates from the last meeting. We actually have all of the evaluations hosted on here now. So these blocks are actually real from our evaluations. Then if we click into one, just rapid fire kind of going through the changes, we strip down the header. So it's literally just the staking pool name and the website. We give our overall evaluation summary with the meeting that's applicable to that staking pool, and then just a summary of the ratings again, and then sort of condense down our Q&A section, right? So we've got the rating with the answers for each respective question, and then I've added just the deep dive report, so whenever we get that set, we can just do a fancy sort of infograph, and we'll attach that along with any slashing reports that are applicable to that staking pool. And then this is probably the biggest change from last meeting, was just stripping away the explicit rating and then going through key takeaways and then rephrasing strengths, areas of improvement, and then changed section. So based on these updates, how were we, anything that stands out, or is this more in line with kind of what we're thinking about for evaluations?
I think that looks great.
Yeah, I agree. That looks really good. One quick question. Is there a reason why there are 8 paths on the detailed overview, and on the where all the staking pools are shown, there's 6 paths? Oh, and maybe I'm
Sorry,
I
where
got
are you
the number
looking?
wrong. So if you go back to the overview of all the staking services, it says 6 paths, and on the actual sheet,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep.
there's a different number.
Yep. I'll fix that. I just think it's a yep. Will do. I'll fix that bug.
Yeah, what it probably is we probably use the collapsed one versus the uncollapsed one, missing those 2 answers. That's what I have a feeling it is.
Yep. That's yeah. Good catch. I didn't see that. I will quick update. No problem.
It looks great though.
Okay. So then what? Oh, go ahead.
Can you just go back to the notice? One thing that I would really appreciate in the notice is I think it's important to say we are not, this is not, do not construe this as advice or do not construe this as a suggestion of which staking pool to use. Our answers are constantly kind of being updated. I think you say that pretty well. But something that kind of gives us a little bit of protection on that front in case someone's like, oh, I used this because it was green and I lost all my money and I want to sue the EDDC.
Yep. Understood. I will get that updated. The other thing, I don't think I had anything more. So what I'll do is I'll pose it to the group. The next thing I'd like to do is obviously I'll update these numbers. I don't necessarily feel comfortable providing the rest of the content for each pool. How do we want to handle that in terms of like, this is our summary and then the bottom information for the takeaways? It's okay if we don't necessarily have that information yet to supply, but I don't think it also should also be provided solely by me either.
For the key takeaways, suggestion would be to actually we have one responsible person in the further due diligence taking a look at the answers for each of the questions, and those folks can highlight what the strength of a particular question was, or whether there are particular strength or weaknesses or improvement areas. That would be possible.
Do we have is that like a dedicated group within the EDDC Discord? Or do we just know of a handful of people that are doing that are responsible for it?
I guess everyone currently involved within the further due diligence.
Is that going to fall on us? Yeah, we can do it. We can do it.
I mean, someone is looking at the questions anyway, so just make a note whenever someone falls upon something that is on the plus side or on the improvement side, and take a note and put it there. Put it somewhere, I don't know.
Awesome. Then further due diligence, we'll take that. We're actually probably going to have a meeting either end of this week or early next week, and we'll discuss it there.
Okay. Maybe what I'll do to help is I'll take a screenshot of the whole evaluation so you can see the whole template and post that in the further due diligence room to provide context as to what information we're trying to curate. And then maybe for the next meeting, we set a due date on, at least a goal date on trying to get some of those posted to the site so we can get these updates going. The goal for me is just it would be nice to see this up and like with these updates by, end of this month would be great. I don't know how ambitious that is though.
These updates for the end of this month. We'll have a better idea once we get back to the further due diligence and sees, did everyone, because we were all given tasks like homework to do, they all did their homework, then we'll have a better idea.
Sure. Then the one last thing from what I'm trying to do now, since the templates are getting pretty dialed in, focusing more on the marketing push for when we launch for this, and that has to do also with our streaming for YouTube. Am I under the correct assumption now that we're, unless we hear otherwise as a committee, alternating AM PM meetings? So next meeting should be the PM.
That's right.
Meeting? Okay. So what I'll do is add that to the calendar on both eStaker and then inject that information on the EDDC calendar for the website.
Madison, I'm very open. I put effort into that, but I'm not offended or hurt if it's not the right direction, and I'm not sure that it is or not, and that's totally up to you. But period.
The only person who I think it really makes a big difference for is JK. I do think it makes a big difference for JK. It's a big negative for Phil, though. And I think it's a negative. At least it's a negative for me. It's not like a big negative, but it's a moderate negative. And I think everyone else is also more interested in not having it be so late. Tell me if I'm wrong.
The zoom out goal was not to accommodate any specific person, but to accommodate the growth of the team.
Yeah.
So that we were not a hemispheric central organization. And so to focus on, this member or that member, I don't know is the right approach, but I also admit to not knowing what the right approach is.
I think we actually change it to stay at this time for now. We'll have JK come to the further due diligence meetings, and then potentially what happens is when the further due diligence side is presenting their findings to the committee at large, maybe we just change it to accommodate for the members who are on that further due diligence committee. And then if we have more members joining us from time zones that aren't accommodating to this 11 a.m. Eastern time, then we can consider changing it again. What do you guys think about that approach? Awesome.
Okay, then I
Awesome.
will
Awesome.
maintain
All right.
these times then for the calendar. Cool. Thanks.
Yep. Any other topics that people want to discuss or cover? Those are the big ones. I'll keep it updated about how the further due diligence meeting goes. I'm hoping that we do have enough to kind of talk about in the next meeting for the further due diligence findings. But I just want to meet up with that group one time before we come back to the meeting at large. And if there's nothing else, I'd say we adjourn a little bit early. Perfect. All right, I'm going to stop recording. All right. Thank you.